I ghosted our home while my cheating wife was on a business trip. Let me start by saying that I never, in a million years, would have thought I'd end up telling this story. But life's funny that way, isn't it? I'm not going to lie, I'm a little nervous to share this with you guys, but here it goes. My wife, Lacey, and I have been together for nearly a decade. She was the love of my life, and I thought we were rock solid. Then I found out that she had been cheating on me with her boss during their business trips. To say I was devastated is an understatement. I first became suspicious when Lacey started taking more business trips than usual. She said they were attending insurance seminars hosted by the companies they sell for. I believed her. I mean, why wouldn't I? She'd always been honest and upfront with me. As time went on, I noticed that she became more and more distant. She was always on her phone, and she'd freak out if I so much as glanced at it. It didn't take a genius to figure out that something was off. So I decided to do some digging. I tried getting into her Instagram account, but I didn't have her password. I'm not a tech-savvy guy, but I have a buddy who is. I reached out to him, and he agreed to help me. He helped me get into her Verizon account and managed to get the security code Instagram sent her via text message. With that, we were able to access her account. I wish I could say I found nothing, that my suspicions were unfounded, but that wasn't the case. Instead, I discovered a message thread between Lacey and her boss, filled with dirty messages and pictures. I felt like I'd been punched in the gut. My first instinct was to confront her, but my buddy managed to calm me down. Instead, we devised a plan to get my revenge. We decided that once Lacey left for her next insurance seminar, I'd completely move out and ghost her. No note, no explanation, nothing. So that is what I did. I spent the next few weeks playing the part of a man who still cared. I was able to keep that smile on my face because I knew what was about to happen. I contacted my lawyer and got him started on the paperwork, and I lined up the help I'd need to pull this whole thing off. The day she left, I sprung into action. I emptied half of our joint bank account and had a few friends come over to help me move my stuff to a new apartment on the other side of the city. I officially filed for divorce and started my new life immediately. I blocked her from all communication methods, including social media, phone calls, and texts. But I wasn't done yet. I found out who Lacey's boss was married to and informed her of the affair. I provided her with the proof she needed to confront her husband. It felt good to know that not only was I starting fresh, but I was also exposing their dirty little secret. She was upset at first and didn't want to believe me, but when she got brave enough to open my texts, she couldn't deny it. I told her she deserved the truth just as I did and that she wouldn't get it from her husband. She knew I was right, and so through crying and tears, she thanked me. Days turned into weeks, and I never heard a peep from Lacey. It was so nice. I knew she'd have to move as well, because she didn't make enough to afford our rental house anymore. My income provided us with the bulk of our lifestyle. Without it, she would be forced to live a lot more modestly right away. My new apartment started to feel like home, and I even began dating again. Things were looking up. Then came the day of our court hearing. I walked into the courtroom wearing my best suit, feeling like $1 million. Lacey, on the other hand, looked like a shadow of her former self. She was disheveled and seemed to have aged years in the short time we'd been apart. It was clear that life had been tough for her without me. After all, I'd been the one providing the security and luxuries she'd become accustomed to. As we sat in the courtroom waiting for the proceedings to begin, I couldn't help but feel a mix of emotions. There was a part of me that still cared for Lacey. We'd spent almost a decade together, but I also felt a sense of pride in taking control of my life and walking away from a toxic situation. Lacey must have noticed me sitting there, looking all polished and put together. She attempted to make eye contact, but I refused to acknowledge her. She even tried to speak to me, but I ignored her completely. I wanted her to know, without a doubt, that she'd lost me forever. The divorce process itself was relatively smooth. Since we had no kids, and I'd already moved out and taken half of our assets, there wasn't much left to argue about. The judge granted our divorce, and just like that, our marriage was over. Over the next few months, I continued to settle into my new life. I embraced my newfound freedom, and I even started to enjoy being single. I was meeting new people, trying new things, and slowly but surely healing from the heartbreak. One day, while out grabbing a coffee, I actually ran into Lacey's boss's ex-wife. We exchanged pleasantries and chatted for a bit. She thanked me again for coming forward with the information about the affair and said that her divorce had been finalized as well. She said her husband, in an attempt to salvage their marriage, broke things off with Lacey and even fired her. That explained a lot. Anyway, she said she didn't lead him on for a moment and sternly let him know they were done. Good for her. It seemed like she was doing well, and it made me feel even better about my decision to expose the truth. As time went on, I realized that I'd become a stronger, more resilient person because of my experience. I'd walked away from a toxic relationship, stood up for myself, and even managed to take down a cheating boss in the process. And though I wouldn't wish what I went through on anyone, I can't help but be proud of the person I'd become. I also learned that sometimes the best revenge is simply moving on and living a happy, fulfilling life without the person who wronged you. So, there you have it, folks. That's the story of how I ghosted my cheating wife and started a new life without her. It was a roller coaster of emotions, but in the end, I came out on top. And now, when I look back on my journey, I can't help but feel grateful for the lessons I've learned and the strength I've gained. Well, this revenge was different, but it seems like it turned out great for him in the end. What do you think? Let us know in the comments. When you subscribe, be sure to click the notification bell. Click here for more Tangled threads.